उद्घाट्य योगकलया हृदयाब्ज कोशं धन्यैश्चिरादपि यथारुचि गृह्यमाणः यः प्रस्फुरत्यविरतं परिपूर्णरूपः श्रेयस्समे दिशतु शाश्वतिकं मुकुन्दः अमरीकबरीभारभ्रमरी मुखरीकृतं दूरीकरोतु दुरितं गौरी चरणपङ्कजं परस्परतपःसम्पत्फलायित परस्परौ प्रपञ्चमातापितरौ प्राञ्चौ जायापतिस्तुमः. So we're looking at the Pratīpa alankara. We finished with 4 varieties. Now we just still have one more variety of Pratīpam left. Maybe I'll just give a recap of the alankaras and then we will move on to the 5th one so that we know where we are. So the first type is Prasiddha Upamanasya Upameyatvam. So Pratīpam itself means where you are mixing up or you are doing the Viparitam of usual. The usual we take it as Upama because this is an Upama based Alankara. The Pratīpam is where you are switching or interchanging the Upamanam and the Upameya. So Prasiddha Upamanasya Upameyatvam. And the example he gave here is Twallochana Samam Padmam. Here Padmam is usually taken as the Upamanam or the standard of comparison. Actually, there was one shloka in Vikramorvashiyam which I saw where he says Upamanasya Pratyupamanam sa iti. So she is like the Prati Upamanam for the Upamanam. So that is the perfect example of Pratīpa alankara. Right? So just you can also make a note of that. Upamanasya Pratyupamanam Urvashi. Pururavas describes her like that. So Prasiddha Upamanasya, the Upamanam is usually something which is of an Utkrishta value, which is Padmam. Now that has been taken as the Upameya. So we are saying that lotus is like your eyes. So the eyes have become the Upamanam here, which means the Prasiddha Upamanam is actually Padma, but that has become the Upameya. The Prasiddha, usually what we try to describe is the Upameyam, which is the Lochanam. Now that has actually taken the status of Upamanam here. Okay.
Can
now the next one.
Reference from what it meant?
What?
Upamanasya Pratyupamanam. What is the reference you gave?
Vikramorvashiyam drama. Kalidasa has written 3 dramas, right? One is Malavikagnimitram, the other is Shakuntalam. There is a third one, which is Vikramorvashiya. Upamanasya Pratyupamanam nu varum adula. Upamanasyapi sakhe Pratyupamanam vapustasyaha. This is the 3rd shloka in 2nd act. Okay.
In that case, which category of Pratīpam it is?
So I would actually take it as the first one itself. There
is no exactly Upamanam is not any particular vastu itself. Her body is compared to what? Nothing. Just Upamanam is.
No, her body becomes the Upamanam for any other Upamanam. So which means any other Upamana is the Upameya.
Oh,
it is the first variety.
Okay.
So in Kavyam, it will not be like Twallochana Samam Padmam. That's why it is difficult to identify in a Kavyam.
Okay.
அது என்ன மாதிரி வருதுங்கிறது கொஞ்சம் ஊகிக்கணும் அப்படி பார்க்கணும்.
Okay.
Ma'am, do you have them in Raghuvamsha or Kumar Samhita?
Pratīpa alankara?
It will be easier to map.
If there is some text which has an index, please refer to the index. Makale might have given some alankara index or something like that. Check that. It will be better. I don't remember anything offhand. Yeah. Varnyasya anadaraha. So the second type is you also have the Prasiddha Upamanam becoming the Upameya plus the Varnyam. There is an anadara to that Varnya. Varnya here is actually the original Upameya. The example here is Alam Garvena te Vaktra Kantya Chandropi Tadrishaha. Hey Vaktra, Alam Garvena, do not feel arrogant about yourself. Kantya, if you consider Kanti, Chandraha api tadrishaha. Chandra, the moon is also like the Vaktram. So the second part of the line is actually Chandraha Vaktra Sadrishaha. So Vaktra Sadrishaha means Vaktram, which is usually the Upameyam, now has become the Upamanam. Chandraha api. So this is actually the Varnyam, what we now... sorry. So Chandraha, the moon, usually is the standard of comparison. It is the Prasiddha Upamanam. Now this has become the Upameya. But this is the original Varnyam. Okay. So the Anadara is only for this Varnyam. The originally Upameyam, which the poet wants to describe, is the face of the Naika, and that gets a tiraskara here. Enough of your arrogance. Iti. Okay, so alam garvena iti vakyena, you are trying to put down the varnyam. Chariya? This is clear. Now the third one is varnya labhena anyasya anadaraha. The same thing happens. Now varnyasya labhaha. Now there is no switching of upamanam and the upameyam. So the Vaiparithyam or the Pratīpa name comes from this third type being in opposition to the second type. So Dvitiya Pratīpasya Vaiparithyam Avarnya Anadaraha. So here it said Varnya Anadaraha. When it says Anyasya Anadaraha, so it is the Upamanasya Anadaraha. Okay?
Here, Vaiparithyam is used in the sense of being an extremity. Extremity
illa, opposite. Pratilomyam, Vaiparithyam, Pratīpam, idella vandu virodhangra arthathla. Contradictory in artham. So Varnya Labhena. Now we have gotten an Upameya, and so the Anadara, so we are trying to put down the Upamanam, which is supposed to be the standard of comparison. Now we are putting that Upamanam down with this example. Kaha kraurya darpaha te mrityo, he mrityo, kraurya darpaha te kaha. What is the arrogance that you have about your cruelty or your, Tvatulyaha striyaha santi. Women are there who are also equally cruel. So women usually is the one that we are describing. So it is not switched over here. So it is the Utkrishta Upameya. It is an Upameya. Usually it is the Upameya. Now we are comparing the Stri to Mrityu. Mrityu becomes the Upamanam. So there is no switch there. But where is the Anadara? We are putting down the standard of comparison and saying, Kaha kraurya darpaha te mrityo. You don't need to feel arrogant. So you are a step, or you are equal. We have got something which is equal to you in cruelty, which is the women. Okay. So here Anya is always Avarnya, that which we do not want to describe, that which is not the context, which becomes the Upamanam. What is Varnyam is that which we want to describe, which is the Upameya. Is that clear so far?
One second. So when you say in the second variety, Varnyasya Anadaraha, the Varnya the Vaktram or the Chandra?
It is the Vaktram only. We do want to describe only the Vaktram. We don't want to describe the Chandra there.
Okay. So in other words, the words the technical terms Upamanam and Upameyam have been switched.
Yes.
But you have not switched the functional descriptions of Varnya and Avarnya.
Usually, that we have not.
Okay.
No.
So that's okay. Okay. That's
correct. Varnyam is always that which we want to describe. Even if we express the Upamanam as the Upameya becomes the technical term. So Varnya is something that we want to describe, which is the context of description.
And could you also call the Varnya as the Prakrita and the Avarnya
yes.
as the Prakrita?
It is, yes.
Okay.
It is also the Vishayaha. When you go to Rupakam, it becomes the Vishayaha.
Varnya would be the Vishayaha.
Yes.
And Avarnya would be the, what do you call
Upamanam it? Vishayi.
Oh, Vishayiva. Oh, I see.
Yes.
Okay.
Aprakrita.
Prastuta, aprastuta also.
அதுவும் அதேதான். So prastutam will always be what you want to describe. Prastutam,
Varnyam.
varnyam, இந்த எல்லாம் is equal to போட்டு ஒரு டேப்ல ஒரு glossary மாதிரி போட்டுக்கோங்க. You know? So varnya is equal to prakritam, which is your upameyam. In certain cases it can be, it depends. We don't know.
All those terms will remain constant, but upamanam and upameyam, for the sake of alankara description, we are just switching it. Yet we are keeping varnya avarnya constant.
Yes.
Okay, got it.
Okay. Now the fourth one, varnyena avarnyasya sadrishya anishpattihi. So varnyam, again, that is standard here. There is no pratīpam here. Why is it called pratīpa then? It is different from the earlier pratīpas. So purva pratīpebhyaha vaiparityam. It is contradictory to the others. Now what are we doing? There is no possibility of even connecting these two. Okay, so there is no possibility of comparing two objects. So mukham is so beautiful that it cannot even be compared to ambujam. So mugdhapavado mugdhakshi tvanmukhabam khila ambujam. So varnyena avarnyasya sadrishyasya. So varnyam here would be our upameya. Mukhena avarnyasya ambujasya sadrishyasya anishpattihi. It is not possible. So how is it not possible? He says that anishpatti using the words mugdha apavadaha. So it is just a foolish prattle kind of stuff that tvanmukhabam ambujam. If we do try to do the pratīpam, then it is there is no possibility of doing it. It is only something like a rumor kind of stuff.
But couldn't I rephrase this as saying, ambujam upamanam na bhavitum arhati?
சொல்லிக்கோங்களே. ஆனா அது அலங்காரம் இல்லையே.
Yes. Apo there is a switch. The mukam is is usually it is not the prasiddha vastu.
Yes.
So it is actually the upamanam in this case.
If you are considering only this grade.
Yes.
Tvanmukhabam ambujam iti mugdhapavadaha அப்படிங்கிறார் இல்லையா?
But the higher the number, the greater the upameyam's quality, right? So this has become the fourth degree of pratīpam. That means it has to be greater and greater as we go higher in number.
அப்படி இல்ல, அதுக்கு இல்ல. இங்க வந்து what he says is mukhadina varnyena anyasya avarnyasya chandradehe upamayaha sadrishya anutpattihi. ambujasya prasiddha upamanasya tanvi mukhena upameyena ityeva vartate atra.
Okay, sorry, okay. Okay, fine.
அதனால இப்படி எடுத்துக்கிறது தான் better.
Okay. Okay.
Ma'am, that if we are unable to compare things, like for example, in one of the nama we have Tarakanti Tiraskari Nasabharana. Does it come to this only?
Tarakanti Tiraskari Nasabharana Bhasura. Appo you take that as Tiraskaram பண்றதுங்கிறச்சு that doesn't come under Pratīpa alankara. That won't come under this. அதுக்கு வேற ஏதோ ஒரு அலங்காரம் வரணும். It is better. Vyatirekam மாதிரி வரும். Yeah, it's adhikya varnanam. Right? So it's like something like a vyatireka there.
But did you not say vaiparityam is vyatirekam?
Vyatirekam vera. So alankarathla definitions vera. Do not bring in அப்படி பண்ணாதீங்கோ. Vyatirekangra alankaram vera. That is a technical term. The meaning of vyatireka in nyaya is different.
No. Here when I asked you what vaiparityam is.
Virodhan. I said virodha. I didn't say vyatireka.
Oh, okay, got it.
Ama. Okay, because vyatireka is a technical term.
There also we are like unable to compare and say it's greater, right? We
are not saying it is greater, but we are saying that the kanti of nasabharanam puts down this. That is, it outshines the Tara Kanti. That's all. So there is no comparison there as such.
It is a Pratīpa, right? Tara Kanti is also a golden reference.
But it's
Correct.
not even Upama based.
Mm.
And okay, the Nasabharana is now, normally you would say the Nasabharana is as bright as the Tara Kanti. That's a normal thing. Here you are saying the Tara Kanti is less than the Nasabharana. In fact, you are actually switching the positions of Upamana and Upameya.
அப்படி இல்ல. தாரகைகளினுடைய காந்தியை போக்கடிக்கும்படியாக இருக்கும் ஒரு காந்தியை கொண்ட மூக்குத்தி அப்படி சொல்றது. அதனால்தான் I need to think about what alankara that could be. I'll tell you later. I'll make a note of that.
Because there are a lot of places, at least in Telugu poetry, where you describe the Nayika as being superior to the Upamanam.
Yeah, that அதெல்லாம் பிரதீபத்துல வரும். சுப்பீரியர்னு வர்றச்சே then இதுல வரலாம். இல்லைன்னா there is also another thing, பின்னாடி அதிசயோக்தி மாதிரி வரும். So ஆமா, we'll have to analyze each and every context and see what alankara it could be. ஒட்டுமொத்தமா இதுதான் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட முடியாது. So we have to look at how the words are constructed and then decide.
Okay, so the number one is very clean, correct? It's a flip between Upamana and Upameyam. In 2 and 3, I have to look for what is the anadara.
Yes.
Anadaratvam.
Ama. And which is getting pulled down. So if it is the Upamana that is being pulled down, then it could probably be this variety Arklam.
Oh, then even some things like te vaktram parihasati pankeru haruchim, that also will not come.
Adalla I need to, that is a good, I will look at the Soundarlahari that I have. And then
asking the right person.
Ama. Parihasati pankeru haruchim darasmere yasmin dasharuchi kinjal karuchi.
Many Soundarlahari examples.
அதை பார்த்துருவேன் நான் உடனே. Then it will be easier to relate to Lalita Sasnam.
Yeah, good. So go back to the second and third one.
Yes.
I'm trying to get cleanly. So there are two kinds of anadaratvam. When the upamanam is facing that, it is called third one, varnyalabhena.
Yes.
Okay.
Inge vandu the switch happens, and even after the switch happens, you are still putting down the varnyam. That's the second one. Adukka solren. Okay. Think about it and then we'll see. Fourth one is sadrishya anishpattihi. Now the fifth one is what we have to read. So the fifth one is kimartham. So kaimarthyam. That is, there is no use at all of the upamanam because we have the upameya on hand. So dupamanasya kaimarthyam chet. So drishtam chet vadanam tasyaha kim padmena kim induna. This is the example he's going to give. So when we have seen the upameya, drishtam ched upameyaha, the vadanam, if the face has been seen, then what is the use of the lotus or what is the use of moon? Kim induna kim padmena. So the padmam and induhu are the prasiddha upamanam. There is no point of having these two as upamanam at all. Iti kim iti padena. This is very straightforward, where you are saying what is the use of this? Kimartham asti, kimartham padmam iti vartate. When I have vadanam, which will satisfy both being the upameya and as the upamanam. Okay. Clear? But you have to mention the upamanas and say kim, then only it will be the fifth variety of Pratīpa.
Yeah.
But kim is not enough. You have to say kim. Artham is suggested because otherwise kim ambujam ityapi no.
Kim padmena in third case varratnala kim padmena prayojanam.
Prayojanam is understood.
Okay. Ama. And the third case nantane varthe. So we'll just read the fifth one in the text and then move.
I mean all of them here upamana is getting down than upameya, right?
Yes.
So
Upameyasya utkrishtatvam uchyate atra.
whatever the cases previously that we have discussed, there also it's like we are saying that is greater end. So
Yes.
it mostly seems like that only, but as you said, it's not.
No. That for those two, I will particularly look at it and then tell you. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Madam, can you go back to the fourth one, please?
Fourth one. Okay, fourth.
Correct. Can you please tell me what is the concept of sadrishya anishpatihi? What is not this?
If anybody wants to try to describe that the lotus is like the face, the face is what I want to describe. So the face is here in front of me. Tvanmukha abham ambujam. Somebody is trying to say that the lotus is looking like you. That whole sentence seems like an impossibility to me. Mugdhapavadaha. Vadaha. Okay? Apo that mugdhapavadaha part tells me that this sadrishyam is not at all possible. So when I say adenna and
the correct way of saying that is your face is as beautiful as a lotus. If I simply say your face is like a lotus, you're saying it's anishpati?
No. Lotus is like your face. Abdina people are trying to say something like that, but it is a rumor. I can't even say that.
Sorry, one last question.
Yeah.
There in Subramanya Bhujangam we have this, right? Sada Purna Bimba Kalanka.
Yadi iti. Sada
Does
Purna
it comes
Bimba.
to this only?
Sada Purna Bimba Kalankaischa hina.
Tadatvan Mukhanam Bruve Skanda Samyam.
Bruve Skanda Samyam. Yes, that is this kind of. But so not this kind of one. If that had happened, then I could have said this. Yeah.
That's not Pratīpa.
So that may not.
But by saying Skanda Samyam, Skanda becomes the Upamana, right?
Yes. So there is the Pratīpam there. And if this had happened, then I could have said that. But it is not possible. Tell me the full shloka. So. Sada Purna Bimba Kalankaischa hina.
Sada Sharadaha Shenmraganga Yadisyuhu Samudyanta eva Sthitaschet Samantat. Sada Purna Bimba Kalankaischa hina Tadatvan Mukhanam Praves Skanda Samyam.
Tadatvan Mukhanam. So that Yada Tada becomes your Mugdhapavadaha, Mudhapavadaha, Vyarthapavadaha kind of stuff. People try to compare a face, so it is similar to the fourth one.
Also, it's then fourth Pratīpam.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yada tada vichinde, you can say if yadi tarhi, but that is not at all possible. So sadrishya anishpattihi. This is not at all like Ananvayam. Do not confuse with Ananvayam. In Ananvayopama, you are saying this is equal to itself. You are not even bringing in an object, a second object there for comparison. So it is very clearly not Ananvaya alankara. Okay? We can move on to the text. Is that okay?
Okay.
Now, fifth one. Pratīpam upamanasya kaimarthyam api manvate drishtam ched vadanam tanvyaha kim padmena kim induna. So Pratīpam upamanasya kaimarthyam manvate Pratīpam. So even when you try to point out the uselessness, kimartham iti, kim prayojanam iti yadi vadamaha upamanasya, tatrapi Pratīpam manvate. Even there we think of it as Pratīpa alankara. So drishtam ched vadanam tanvyaha kim padmena kim induna. Upamanasya chandradehe kaimarthyam nirarthakatva kathanam. So it is like a tulya guna upameya labhat. Tulya guna upameya labhat. Because I have an upameya which is of similar quality, there is it is useless. Nirarthakam. There is no prayojanam for it. iti vadamaha. That is the fifth kind of pratipam. Tanvyaha vadanam drishtan chet padnena indunava kim kimapi prayojanam nasti ityarthaha. Okay. So atra tulya guna upameyasya mukhasya labhat, because we have gotten the mukham, face, which is of equal quality, which has the equal similar qualities. Prasiddha upamanayoho padmachandrayoho nishprayojanatvam darshitam iti lakshana samanvayaha. So kaha arthaha prayojanam asya iti kimarthaha tasya bhavaha kaimarthyam. Kadarthayatinla irukku idula naishadathla. Just actually he takes an example from naishadam for the aparam udaharana. Tadojasasthadyashasasthita vimau vritheti chitte kurute yada yada tanoti bhanof pariveshakaitava tada vidhi kundalanam vidhorapi. This is in the first sarga itself, describing Nala's yashas, kirti, his fame, and his ojas, his balam. Tad ojasaha, tad yashasaha cha sthitau. Imau sthitau vritheti chitte kurute yada yada tad ojasaha tad yashasaha cha imau vrithe iti chitte kurute. Sthitau ime vriteti chitte kurute. Okay, whenever he thinks about the kirti or the yashasaha, inga yashasaha chitte kurute. No.
Ojasvanda Suryaha, Yashasvanda Chandraha.
அது ரைட். இல்ல இல்ல, 6th எதுக்கு இருக்குங்கிறத யோசிக்கிறேன், எங்க அன்வயமாகுங்கிறதுக்கு. நம்ம ஐ நீட் டு லுக் அட் தி. இதெல்லாம் ரொம்ப சுலபம் இல்லப்பா. நைஷதம் இஸ் நாட் சம்திங் தட் ஐ கேன் அப்படியே ஆஃப் ஹேண்டா அப்படி சொல்றதுக்குலாம் ஐ காண்ட். Some 6th, 7th.
What happened, ma'am? We are discussing about the meaning.
The meaning, yes. So the meaning here, he would have just given nalaujasaha yashasaha cha sthitau satyam. Okay. Surya chandrau vritheti prasiddha upamanayoho.
Yashasaha sthitau eppadi varum?
அதுதான் எனக்கும் புரியல, அதனால தான் நான் டெக்ஸ்ட் எடுக்கிறேன். Some 15th. Let me pause this. So he is right. So nalaujasaha nalasya yashasaha cha sthitihi vartate. So sthitau satyam. Okay. So sthiti rupena tatra vartate iti. When the kirti of Nala and when the ojas, the strength of Nala are well established, then this sun and the moon are a waste. Imau vritha iti chitte kurute yada yada vidhihi. Vidhihi, Brahma, who creates both the sun and the moon, he decides that both of them are a waste, because instead of the sun, I have Nala's prakasham, that is his ojas, his lustre is there, and instead of the moon, I have Nala's kirti. Kirti is also supposed to be white, and you usually compare the kirti to the moon because of the whiteness and the way the moonlight spreads all over. In the same way, Nala's fame also spreads everywhere. Just as how Surya has a great prakasha and he has a balam that is comparable, in the same way Nala also has an ojas. He has an inner prakasham that is very visible like the sun here. And when these two are present in Nala, I don't need the sun and the moon. Thinking thus, chitte kurute yada yada, whenever the Brahma thinks about these two objects, he says, you know what, Nala's ojas is there, so I don't need the sun and kundalanam karoti. So he just makes a round around it and says this is not necessary. This is with reference to manuscript. In manuscript, if you do not want a particular thing, you never strike in a manuscript. So in those days, it was palm leaf. So in palm leaf, if you put straight lines or anything, it will just cut across. When you cross it off, it will tear the entire palm leaf. So they usually do a round around it, saying this is not supposed to be here. Okay, so kundalanam karoti, he makes a round around it. Surya and the moon both are in the form of a round, that is right, and they also have a mandalam around them, that is the aura of light around them. But then in the form of that parivesha kaitavat, as if he is trying to give ஒரு outline போடுற மாதிரி. No, this is like an outline. He is trying to do an outline, but then he is actually doing a round around it, saying both of you are not necessary at all because I have Nala here.
It's a brilliant thing because there's an actual astronomical phenomenon which the poet is referring to here.
The
halo,
orb,
which happens in certain situations due to refraction of ice crystals. A halo is an optical phenomenon where you actually have a circle which occurs around the sun, maybe around the moon also. And so now the poet is referring to that, and he's saying that just Brahma causes the halo. Actually, the fact that the halo is made by Brahma is he's got a hidden intention of classifying it as a mistake.
Whenever he feels like so, apropos, that round will come up.
It's amazing. It's I mean the poet's prowess in astronomy is also, at least in astronomy, was so well known that he knew it. It's amazing.
But you can actually see it, right, Hari?
Yeah, it is visible. The halo is
you don't have to know astronomy for it, but you can see it actually.
Yeah, but I mean, do you think that people today in the normal person knows it? Only scientists know about this.
But what?
The halo.
The halos, or about people.
But I'm saying the halo is visible.
We can see a kind of an orb around the sun or the moon.
Yes.
Which is visible.
Very, very.
That's what I said.
Yeah, you can see it. Is all I'm saying. I'm not saying.
But not every day. Like it's a phenomenon that occurs rarely.
Correct.
I wouldn't say every day, but it's not rare. You can see it quite.
One has to be observant and look at the sky. You not look at the mobile on hand.
It is not well known. Actually, it is not well known.
Abdiya, I don't know. The orb is something we all know about in a way.
Halo is well known in சொல்றீங்களா நீங்க?
அதான் அந்த
Halo is very well known.
ஒளிவட்டம் எல்லாம் வந்து கிண்டல் அடிப்போம்.
You have to spend some time in the sky looking up, Kana.
You have to spend the time in சொல்றேன். Not everybody spends the time in சொல்றேன்.
I am saying that in a world where you didn't have much else to see at night beyond the sky, maybe it was much more visible. All I'm saying is there is no link with the visual phenomena and science.
No link with visual phenomena and?
I'm not saying a Kavi here is doing that because he's astronomically knowledgeable.
You're saying it that way? Okay, I took it that way. Okay. Another beauty of the alankara cannot be denied.
Any doubts with this?
Mahodaya, that shloka has vriteti, and again, is it like a Hindi thing that is doing vyarthau iti?
Hindi illa.
The anvaya part.
Vritha iti chitte kritva. Vritha is waste. Iti chitte kritva. That vritha part is what is telling him that it is kimartham. Na prayojanam ityeva.
Yeah, the Sanskrit shloka has vriteti. The anvaya is saying vyarthau instead of using the term.
Don't look at that. Look at the original Naishadham, which will be easier. So he is probably taking some other
so then like we have to, because imau is there, so that means it has to change to dvivachanam.
Not necessary. Vritha is avyayam. Why would it change to dvivachanam?
Okay, vrita, imau vrita iti, like that.
Chitte kritva. Yes, it is an avyaya. Okay.
Ma'am, chitte karoti means chintayati.
Chintayati. Yes. Chitte kurute. Manasi bhavayati. So you can have both, no?
In Tamil we say, no ma'am, like சூழ்ச்சி விட்டுட்டா அப்படிம்பா.
அதேதான்
அதேதான்ல.
அதேதான் ரவுண்ட் பண்ணி விட்டா அந்த மிஸ்டேக் எல்லாம். கொஸ்டின் பேப்பர் ஆன்சர் வந்து திருத்தரிச்சு நம்ம அப்படித்தானே பண்ணுவோம்.
ஆமா, சூழ்ச்சி விட்டுறது.
அதேதான். என்ன அழகா அவர் வந்து see the way Naishatakara gives his explanation is like one small story. I always say every shloka is like one story, mini story மாதிரி இருக்கும்.
Beautiful இருக்கு.
So पुनः महोदय तत्र विधिः विदोः कुण्डलनां तनोति is the statement, right?
Yes, so parivesha kaitavaat, 1 minute. So parivesha kaitavaat, parivesha is paridhi, he is trying to mark the border of it. Iti kaitavaat, so there is also kaitava apannuti here, which we don't need to know now, we can read it later also. So parivesha kaitavaat vidhoho, vidhuhu here is moon, chandrasya, bhanoho, suryasya cha kundalanam tanoti, he makes that round. Okay,
kundalanam is the dvitiya, and previously when he said yada yada vidhi punah, vidhi is the karta there.
Yes,
yada
there
vidhi,
also
chitte kurute, chitte is dvitiya dvivachanam there.
No,
right?
No, chitte manasi saptami.
मनसि कुरुते इति वा. यदा 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 विधिः चित्ते एवं कुरुते किं
iti kurute, iti chitte kurute, when he has this thought in his mind.
वृथा इति, इमौ वृथा इति चित्ते कुरुते तदा.
Yes. Okay. So atra nalaujasah yashasah cha sthitau satyam, when both are sthiti rupena tatra bhavati, when it is present, well established. So surya chandrau vritha iti prasiddha upamanayoho surya chandrayoho kaimarthyoktihi. So kaimarthyoktehe pratīpam kimartham iti uktihi vartate tasmat. Is that clear?
Ma'am, if you remember, I have sent one sloka to you on a like chitte chuta chet kimu moghat ridbhihi. Bhakti. It is also this only, right? Bhakti.
I don't remember what shloka that was. You send me again and then I will look at it. Okay? Later.
Mode, so what is prakritopama and what is aprakrita vishayopama?
நீங்க எதையோ வந்து இதுல பார்த்துட்டு எனக்கு சொல்றேன்னா
ரசிகரஞ்சனி
அது அப்புறமா எனக்கு வந்து take a photo of it and send a private message. We will discuss that later. சரியா?
Okay.
Because I need to know the context of where that word is and why he has used. Ama. Okay. Yeah. Because we will not confuse people here now. Okay, so with this Pratīpa alankara is over. We have to start with Rupaka alankara. I think I'll stop with this and start Rupakam on Wednesday. Chariya? I mean